Okay, let's unpack this. We're taking a deep dive today into everything we've learned about actress Manisha Koirala.
Mm-hmm.
Quite a stack of sources here. You shared magazine features, talking celebrity beauty stuff, personal interviews about her day-to-day life, her philosophy.
Right, and also deeper pieces looking at her career and her more recent reflections on life.
Exactly. So the mission here is really to dig into all that material, go beyond the headlines, and pull out the key insights.
Yeah, what's her actual approach to health, well-being, navigating life? Let's try and figure out what these sources suggest are her quote-unquote secrets to such a vibrant life.
Absolutely. So just to frame it, based on what we've seen, she's a Nepali actress, known mostly for her work in Hindi and Tamil films.
And from a pretty prominent political family in Nepal, she's had a long career too. Started way back in 1989.
Yeah, quite the journey. The sources cover some interesting points there. Her Hindi debut, Saudagar, that was 91.
But what really stands out is after a few early films didn't quite hit, some people apparently labeled her a jinx.
Wow, that's harsh, especially early on.
Really tough label. But then came 1942, a love story in 94. That was the big breakthrough.
And it's funny, the material mentions her first audition for that was apparently, well, terrible.
Huh. Yeah, sounds like she really had to fight for it. Impressed them on the second try enough to get the role over some big names.
Shows that determination.
Hmm.
Then her Tamil debut, Mani Ratnam's Bombay in 95. Another huge film.
Even though she was hesitant at first, apparently, a friend really pushed her to take it.
And she wasn't afraid of challenging roles either, like learning Indian Sign Language for Kamoshi, the musical in 96.
Yeah, playing the daughter of deaf-mute parents. That shows real dedication.
Definitely. And the sources also note she took a break from acting for a bit.
Right.
And then made a comeback, including her recent role in Hiramandi this year, which got a lot of acclaim.
But, looking through the material, it's impossible to talk about her recent focus without mentioning her personal health battle. That seems absolutely central.
Yeah, the diagnosis in 2012, stage 4 ovarian cancer.
It's just devastating. And she went through treatment, thankfully, making a full recovery by mid-2014.
So when we look at her focus now on well-being, on living fully, it's really through the lens of that experience, isn't it? It seems to have profoundly shifted her perspective.
It really feels like the foundation for everything else. So let's dive into that first, her mindset, her daily routine. The Times of India interview really highlights this.
She talks about valuing every single sunrise.
Yeah, it's more than just, nice view. She sees mornings as symbolic, new life, new beginnings.
Which, after facing what she faced, feels incredibly powerful. She emphasizes valuing every moment, living in the now.
And she puts structure around that. Starts her day super early, 5 a.m., with meditation.
Right, and she's quite specific about why she meditates. It helps her control her thoughts.
Yeah, what really jumped out at me was her saying meditation teaches her not to believe all my thoughts.
That's such a key insight. It's not just about quietening the mind, but recognizing that the mind worries. It creates noise.
Exactly, and learning not to be ruled by it. She sees the morning as the best time to actively train her mind towards happiness, towards positivity.
And this connects to something else she says. Health isn't just luck. It's an outcome of effort.
It needs daily work, daily maintenance. It's not passive.
Such a crucial point. It's work, not magic. So building on that idea of daily effort, let's get into the more physical side. We saw bits in InStyle, Times Now.
Beyond the yoga and walking mentioned, she seems to have really embraced strength and resistance training, especially post-cancer.
Yeah, that seems significant. She's 54 now and credits this training with building stronger bones, stronger muscles.
Which is so important as we age. And she also says it boosts her mental clarity, her resilience. The sources list out the general benefits, too, which are pretty compelling.
Like countering that natural muscle loss that happens over time.
Right, which helps burn more calories, boosts your metabolism, even when you're resting. It's also good for reducing belly fat, especially that visceral fat.
The dangerous kind linked to health problems.
Exactly. And for women, building bone density is huge, helps prevent osteoporosis. Plus, strengthening your legs reduces fall risk.
And it's good for the heart too, blood pressure, cholesterol levels.
Yeah, all those benefits. And the sources also mentioned she recently got back into swimming and cycling.
So it's a pretty well-rounded physical approach.
Yeah.
Okay, shifting gears a bit to beauty and skincare. The sources highlight some real non-negotiables for her.
Top of the list seems to be washing her face before bed.
Never in my life, that's the quote, right? Sick, tired, whatever. She says it's second nature.
That consistency again, like her health routine. She also always uses moisturizer and lip balm. Basic but essential.
Seems like that foundation of consistent care is key. And then the articles get into specifics, products, ingredients.
Yeah, like olive oil. She mentioned her mom and aunt swore by it for a glow.
Oh, right, like a traditional remedy. And you see that echoed in modern brands, like J.Lo's line, using olive derivatives.
Exactly. She also uses moisturizer and sheet masks regularly, pretty standard celebrity hydration tactics.
And rosewater spray before makeup for a dewy look. That's a simple trick. Halle Berry apparently does that too.
And STF, mentioned as an absolute essential. Jessica Alba talked about learning that from her mother, too, viewing it as an investment.
Right. Long-term thinking. The articles also mention some product types or specific brands popular with celebs that seem to align with her routine.
Like retinol serums, layering face oils with creams, mentions of firming creams, or those really popular high-end moisturizers like Augustinus Bader.
And she's had treatments at Korean skincare clinics too, apparently. Cell-Fusion C was mentioned.
So it's not just products off the shelf. She's open about using more involved treatments too, like microcurrent facials.
She called them a little workout for your face. Suggests they tone the muscles, right?
Yeah, that's the idea. And facial laser treatments like Clear and Brilliant. She described it as a great refresher with not much downtime.
LED face masks also got to mention. Very popular with celebs like Kim Kardashian for targeting lines' redness.
Right, and she's even shared getting things like monothreads in her jawline.
Those are the tiny threads that dissolve and boost collagen, right? For a subtle lift.
Exactly. And dermaplaning.
Yeah, I like how she just called it shaving my face.
Yeah.
Very direct. Said she loved how smooth it makes her skin.
And speaking of appearances, the sources mentioned her recent hair change at a salon in Nepal. Got a lot of positive buzz.
Yeah, people saying how youthful and vibrant it made her look.
So it paints this picture of someone who combines that basic daily care with traditional wisdom and, isn't afraid of modern treatments. And she's pretty open about it.
Okay, let's move beyond the physical. The material also touches on her personal life, her views. That Indian Express interview about being single at 54 was interesting.
Really insightful, yeah. She doesn't explicitly say, like, I am alone, but her perspective is clear. She's made peace with her life as it is.
And she's quite firm on the idea of needing a partner, basically saying she won't compromise the quality of life she has now.
Right. If someone comes along, they have to add to her life, walk alongside her. She's not going to diminish what she's built.
She said she's not actively trying to discover a companion because her life is full.
And she values her sense of choice, freedom, and fulfillment. That really comes across.
The sources briefly mention her past marriage to Samrat Hall. It was quite short.
Yeah, ended in divorce in 2012, which was the same year she got her cancer diagnosis. Tough year.
And there was that quote about marrying mainly because she wanted to be a mother.
That history definitely adds context to her current stance on companionship.
The material also brings up ageism. Saw that in Mobile Masala and Times Now.
Yeah, she feels strongly it's a problem specifically for women, that women get shamed for aging in a way men generally don't.
And that it can lead to actual exclusion. She mentioned being left out of a roundtable discussion because of her age.
It's quite powerful, then, that her own vibrancy and the success of Haramandi kind of directly challenges that. She's proof that talent and energy don't just vanish after a certain age.
Absolutely. So, looking ahead, Times Now gave some insight into her reflections on 2024 and hopes for 2025.
She called 2024 phenomenal.
Yeah, Hiramandi's success, the global recognition, awards, even a letter from Kate Middleton about her charity work.
Plus focusing on family time, getting back into swimming and cycling, really prioritizing that overall well-being.
And for 2025, she's reading scripts, hoping something good comes along, though she admits finding great scripts is hard.
Wants to keep focusing on health, maybe do another trek. She mentioned Everest Base Camp back in 2018.
Spending time with loved ones, learning more about wellness, maybe a retreat.
Her wish for the year was just for it to be completely balanced.
So, pulling all this together, what's the takeaway for you, the listener? It seems like her approach is really holistic, deeply personal.
Yeah, it's not just one thing. It's the mental resilience from meditation, the physical discipline with different kinds of exercise, those consistent skincare basics.
And also having a really clear perspective on life stages, on aging, on relationships.
Her whole journey, especially surviving cancer, seems to have amplified that focus on the present, on making conscious choices.
So the message isn't necessarily do exactly what she does, right?
Yeah.
It's more about seeing how mind, body, spirit all connect to build a life that feels full to you.
Right. Finding fulfillment on your own terms, being disciplined about self-care, and maybe, like her, challenging some of those societal pressures about aging or needing a partner.
So to sum up, Manisha Koirala's approach seems like this powerful blend of inner work, consistent physical care, including strength training, smart beauty habits, and a grounded view on life, all shaped by her experiences.
It really paints a picture of resilience and living intentionally.
Okay, so a final thought to leave you with. Drawing from her perspective on companionship, she defines her full life by the freedom and fulfillment she already has.
Right, and a partner isn't a prerequisite for that fullness, but someone who has to genuinely add to it.
So maybe reflect on that. How do you define a full life for yourself? What are you willing or maybe unwilling to compromise for companionship or other things society suggests you should want?
Or perhaps, thinking about ageism, how does your experience resonate? And what can we learn from how she seems to push back against those expectations by focusing so deliberately on her own well-being inside and out?